About a year ago, I found myself in a predicament because I was restarting my business. I had kind of lost it in a sense, but it was a good journey. It was a journey I needed to go on. But as I was sitting there and as I was thinking about how do I want to restart it, I had this thing going on in my mind, and this thing is this thing of confusion. And so, because I was confused, I didn't have clarity. I didn't really know where I was going to go in business. I was just kind of throwing things at the wall and hoping they would stick. But as I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to get clarity, I pulled out a piece of paper, I sat down, and I looked at that blank piece of paper for way too long. And I felt kind of disgusted. I felt frustrated. I felt like there was this internal chaos going on in my mind because I didn't really know what to put on the piece of paper because I didn't have that clarity. I didn't have direction, and I needed it badly at that moment as I was looking at that blank piece of paper, trying to figure out what I actually want to build and what my business is going to look like. I felt like a ship that was lost at sea that didn't have an engine and had no direction. It was just kind of floating around doing nothing. And when you're floating around doing nothing, you're probably not going to end up where you wanted to go. And that's how I felt. I felt frustrated, like I didn't have purpose, like I was meaningless, and I was just directionless, and I didn't know where to go. And the reason this happened was because when I was restarting my business, I realized that everything I had done up to that point, most of it, not everything, but most of what I had done up to that point when I was working on my business previously was I was building dreams that weren't my own dreams. They weren't actually the things that I wanted, that I clearly wanted. I was just following the voice of the next guru, the guy that was telling me, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm sure you realize this in the marketplace. Like every ad is trying to tell you to do a different thing, that you have to do this in your business, you have to do that in your business. You should build it like this, you should build it like that. Like, for example, for myself, I was bombarded with all these people selling high ticket coaching programs and telling me to sell high ticket. And I have bought into some of their programs myself. And so I was like, okay, I got to do the high ticket thing. Then later on, I've came across somebody else that was saying, no, you actually got to do like these mini workshops and got to go really low end membership, like $50 a month. And you got to really build that out. Then I came across these other people that were saying, no, the best thing to do is build this like 12-week cohort group coaching mentorship program and sell that as like a cohort groups, and that's how you need to do it. And then there's all these other things like, oh no, you actually just need a 3-month coaching package that you should have, or no, you need XYZ and XYZ, and all these conflicting voices. And that's what we have in the marketplace. We have all these conflicting voices. Everybody's telling you to do this and that, and therefore it causes confusion. And that's where I was at. I found myself in this state of confusion, not knowing where to go. And here's the reality: a confused mind will always stay in chaos. So I was staying in this place of chaos in my mind, this internal chaos that had no peace and didn't know where it was going, like that directionless ship without an engine. That's how I felt because I was in confusion. And that was my experience. So I needed to do something about this. And this is my story of what I did to try to get clear. And as I got clear though, and as I was dreaming with God for my business, I started getting this clarity. It took a couple hours. It took a couple days to do this. But when I sat down and I let go of the voices, quiet those voices of confusion, and just like, what do I actually want? And I realized I didn't really know what I wanted because I had forgotten how to dream. Because that's the issue, is many of us from the time we're kids, when we're kids, we're taught to dream, but then we're put into the society that is formed for us and teaches us how we should think. And therefore we forget how to dream. We forget how to actually seek out the things that we want to do and that we're created for. Because here's the simple reality: God put our purpose within us in DNA form, in seed form. He put our purpose and our desires and our dreams within us, but the world came at us and distorted those things and told us what we should do instead. So we have to find a way to get through that barrier and start dreaming again and getting clear on what does God actually want and what do we actually want. Because it's that connection between us and God and us and the Spirit that's going to bring about the thing that we truly want. But as I was seeking this, as I said, I spent a couple days, hours per day, just seeking this stuff out and writing things down. And that confusion turned into more clarity, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to build. And I haven't wavered since then. There's been things that came up through the journey that didn't happen as quickly as I wanted it to, which we're going to talk about a little bit. But I got clear, at least. And I was like, this is what at the core, this is what I want to build. And I'm going to tell you what that thing is then at the end of this as well. But this is the invitation. In this video, I'm going to break down a kind of a framework for you to think through so that you can get massive clarity in your business. You can move from that chaos and that confusion into clarity and connection with God. Cool? You on for it? We good for this? Let's do it. Number one is we have to actually quiet the voices. And I mentioned this earlier because there's a lot of voices of confusion that we're listening to, that the marketplace is saying, that is just causing confusion. So we must recognize, okay, what are the voices in our lives that we're listening to? Maybe it's the email list we're subscribed to. Maybe it's the people we're seeing on Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on. And you're looking at those people and you're comparing yourself to those people. And they're telling you to do it this way and that way and therefore and all these different things. And so you're confused. And we have to identify what are those voices, and we need to quiet those voices. Now, in the moment when you're actually sitting down, and I want you to actually set aside some time and plan for this, but you want to sit down and you want to let go. You put yourself in a state of peace where you quiet your mind, you close your eyes, you quiet your mind, and you focus on the things of the Spirit. And you focus on the things of God, and you let all the other voices that were telling you need to do this, you need to do that, you let go of those things. You kind of flush your system. You clear your mind. Put yourself in a place where you can fully clear your mind and just quiet everything down. Where it's just you and your breath. You're quiet. You're in a place of clarity. You need to start there, where all the voices are quiet in your mind. And you've let go of all that influence that other people have had on you, that the society has had on you from the time you were born, telling you need to have this, you need to have that. You let go of those things because those are dreams that were never intended for you. And there's better dreams for you out there. So you have to let go of those things and take as long as you need to get yourself in that state of peace before you even start writing out your dream. That's the first step. You have to actually you have to quiet the voices and get yourself in a state of peace. And for me, that's what I did. I sat down and I was looking at this blank piece of paper and I was not getting anything. I was in chaos. So I took a moment, I took a while, maybe a half hour, and I just quieted myself to where all I could feel is I could feel my body, I could feel my breath, and I could feel the Holy Spirit and God within that. Because every breath we take is God. That's why it's called Yahweh. His name is Yahweh. It's like a breath, right? And so that's what we're doing, is stilling ourselves, quieting our minds so that all the voices are quiet. Then in that place, here's what you want to do. Now you want to just simply write freely. And this is where you're like, okay, you start asking yourself, and this is where I pulled out that piece of paper and all of a sudden I had something I wanted to write. I pulled out this piece of paper and I asked myself the question, what do I really want in business? What do I actually want to build? What do I want to create? What's that internal longing within me, that desire? Now that I'm still and those voices are quiet, what's that internal longing and desire that I have, that I truly have, that I truly want? Who do I want to serve? What do I want to build? I just started writing freely. Without any thoughts. I didn't judge the thing I was writing. I didn't question it. I didn't do any of that. I just went into the state of consciousness and conscious writing where I just simply wrote down everything I was thinking. What do I really want? Ooh, what about this? What about that? And as I did that, there's something that kind of happened is I started writing all these things, all these dreams and desires that I had years ago that I had maybe tried a little bit, but then didn't take it the full way. I wrote all those things down. I ended up writing down all these different prophetic words that God had given me through other people where I just wrote them down. Oh, I want to do this. Ooh, this feels good. Oh, yeah. What about this? I want to serve people like this. Oh, these are the people I feel really deep compassion for. Oh, I want to do that. And I started just writing these dreams down of what they look like. And it was a whole list. And it took a while. It took a couple hours to just truly get these things out on paper. But I was feeling God's desires and God's compassion. All these things started, coming at me, and I was reminded of them. And it was a fun time. It was a time of just flowing with Him and seeing His desires within me, because the simple reality is those things, while barren, it was still ideas and desires and dreams that He had given me. And so I connected with them and I wrote them down. Again, you do this from no standpoint of judging, no overthinking. You just write, oh, this would be kind of fun. Oh, that would be kind of fun. Yeah. And by the end, you're going to have a long list. You're going to have a lot of different things. And here's what you want to do is you want to then, after you have this list, again, number one, we want to quiet all those voices. Number two is in this state of flow, we just want to write down what we actually want. Start dreaming again, like a child, with a blank slate in front of you, right? And when you write those things down, you're going to have a list. Then here's what you want to do is you want to pause for a while. And maybe you put that list aside. After you're done writing, you're like, okay, this is it. I've written what I need to write. You want to put that list aside and you want to wait a day or two to let those ideas settle in your mind and in your spirit. But then we want to come back to it. And this is the third thing that we want to do is after we've waited for a little bit, we want to come back to it and tap into compassion for it. And this is where we actually take that list and we simply go over that list to find the one thing that we should focus on now. The one thing that God's calling us to now. Because some of these words are for later, and these ideas are for later, or they're ideas that were meant for the past, but maybe they didn't happen, and that's all right, but they're not for now, right? And there's something that for you to let go. Or there are ideas for other people. Because sometimes we get dreams and ideas for other people as well. People that will end up influencing at some point. Where we're like, hey, I had this idea for this, but I think you'd be the one that actually might be good for. And they're like, oh, wow, yeah, that's what I really want. And so you might have those ideas. So now we're taking those ideas and we're figuring out what is that one thing that we need to focus on. And I say the best way to do this is to look from a state of compassion. Again, put yourself in a state where you're feeling the Spirit. You're feeling His compassion for the people that you're called to serve. And you're just going down the list like one by one. And you're saying, okay, what does this feel like? What does this thing on this list feel like? What does it look like? Does it feel right? Is this the thing for now? And you might come back with a couple different core ideas. And you look at those core ideas, but you look back and ask which one is highlighted by the Spirit. And this is the one that you're going to focus on. You're going to circle it. You're going to write it down somewhere where it's clear, right? Where you can remember it. Because here's a lot of times that what happens is we dream these dreams and then we don't write them down and then stuff doesn't go the way we want it to go. And so we kind of forget the dream and then we move on. That's why the dreams of the past didn't happen, is because we moved on to something else before they could happen. And so we want to write it down and make it clear, write it down and put it somewhere where we can remember it and where we can see it on maybe a daily basis. So that's what we want to do. We want to get clear using the power of compassion. Because when you're compassionate, you have compassion for a group of people and you have compassion to help them, then all of a sudden you're going to get clarity on what they need and what they want and the thing that you're supposed to focus on for this next year of your journey. So write down, find that one thing. Again, this might be a day after you made your big list, simply to give yourself some time to let those things settle in your spirit so you can come back with fresh eyes and see it clearly. So again, what did we cover? Number one is you want to quiet all the voices. Put yourself in a state to quiet all the voices. Number two, just from that state of consciousness, that state of just being, ask yourself, what do I really want? And start writing it down. Start dreaming again like a child from a blank slate. And you'll find all these different things coming up. Things from the past that you thought about, new ideas, whatever the things are, you're going to start making a big list. And spend some time with this. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Write all this stuff down. And three is you want to get clear on that one thing by using compassion and saying, what is highlighted? What do I have most of the compassion for right now that God is calling me to? Then finally, number four, and this is very, very important, is we have to get a plan to move forward. Because the simple reality is a lot of times people get these dreams, and we've done it in the past before, where especially when we're younger, we tend to have these dreams, right? But then life happens, and because life happens, we kind of give up on the dream. We don't stay consistent. We don't stay persistent because we don't have really a good plan for it. And so therefore the dream fades away and it doesn't happen. And sometimes God will bring that dream back up again and say, hey, let's actually do this now. But sometimes he'll bring a new one. And it just depends where you're at in life. So this is where the practical comes. Once you have identified that one thing, now you want to put yourself in a state where you're going to be able to focus on this one thing. And as you focus on this one thing, because again, the simple reality is building that dream. Now that you have that one thing and building that dream, it's not easy. You're going to have many, many different opportunities to fail and to quit, to give up on it. And there's always going to be stuff that goes wrong. There's going to be mistakes that you make. There's things that you're probably going to do that you're going to regret. But the key is the people that stick with their dreams and focus on that one thing and don't waver from it, even when things go bad, are the ones that see their dreams come into reality. And so that's what we want to set ourselves up for. So practically speaking, here's what you want to spend some time asking God for. Because to make your dream happen, there's some things that we can put in place that's going to make it easier. And so here's some questions to think about to ask God to make sure that your dreams happen. Number one is, who should I surround myself with? Because when we ask ourselves who we should surround ourselves with to help us accomplish the dream, because that's one of the biggest things that will hinder our ability to step into the dream that we're called to, is the people that we're not surrounded by. If we're just doing it by ourselves, then it's really easy to get frustrated and give it up. But when we're surrounded by a community, a group, or a different coach, or somebody that's going to keep us accountable, then it's going to be more likely to happen. For myself, when I started this journey and I asked God this, I ended up joining this group for Kingdom Entrepreneur Group. And because I wanted to do it from the flow of the Spirit and not just by myself. And so this group has kept me on track throughout the year. Now there's a lot of mistakes that I made past year, and there's a lot of things that didn't happen the way I wanted to make. But I kept my eye on the one thing that I wanted. And as I'm keeping my eye on that, different things have been unlocked within me because I kept my eye on that, even when it was hard. Number two is you want to ask yourself, who should you avoid? Because there's different people in your life right now, maybe, where if you tell them your dream, they're going to be all over it and tell you, no, that's never going to happen. Well, you shouldn't dream like that. You can't do that. That doesn't work for you. All those negativity, the mindsets of negativity, you might need to avoid those people for a while. But also on top of that, it might also be different people. Like I said, quiet the voices. The first step is quiet the voices. There might be different people that you're following, different gurus that God doesn't want you to follow anymore because they're just going to cause confusion in your journey. And so ask yourself, who should you avoid? What voices should you cut off that are just going to keep you questioning and wavering from who you are? In fact, when I was first starting, the one thing that really messed with me was something that a really close family member told me, where they're basically like, oh, you're never going to make this work. And that really affected me because it was this negative curse on my business that I actually believed for a while, and I let it affect me for a long time. So you want to get rid of those voices. You want to avoid those people because it's not going to help you step into the dream that God has for you. So again, ask him, who should I avoid? Number one, who should I surround myself with? Number two, who should I avoid? Number three, what do I need to learn to be able to do this? Is there anything I need to learn? Because a simple reality is to make our dream come into reality, there's things that we will need to learn. Like, for example, there's different skill sets when it comes to teaching people stuff online and coaching people and directing people and being a leader. You have to learn the skill of leadership. You have to learn how to collaborate, how to communicate well with people. You're going to have to learn how to do some hard things. But these are skill sets that you need to learn to be able to make your dream come a reality. So just be honest with yourself and with God and ask him, what are the skill sets that I need to learn as I take this journey? And who should I learn it from? And you simply ask yourself, and there might be different books that he highlights, there might be different courses that he asks you to do. But if you make this list and you're clear, then you're going to be more likely to step in your dream. Because people perish because of a lack of knowledge. And so sometimes there's some knowledge that we don't have yet that we need to learn. So ask him, what do I need to learn? And be humble enough to receive it. Number four is, what is the plan to actually launch this? And this is where you actually sit down and you create milestones, you create goals, you create plans, and you look at, okay, what's it going to look like in 30 days from now? What's it going to look like in 90 days from now? What's it going to look like in the next year? And you write those things down, you get clear. You set milestones that you want to reach and things you want to do. And the more clear you get on these things, the better it will work. If your one milestone is to build an email list to 1,000 people, let's just say that's what it is. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to give myself 90 days to build an email list to 90 people, to 1,000 people. That's my goal. That's a milestone I want to reach. And then you're going to do whatever is necessary to make that goal happen. Then you ask yourself, okay, what needs to happen today? And consistently, what do I need to do to reach that milestone? Again, find the most important milestone. Don't do things you don't need to do. Because this is where, again, we need to sit with God and ask him, what are the main things that we should focus on to make this dream a reality? We break it down. What are the steps? Okay, if we know the steps, then we know the milestones, and then we break down those milestones. Okay, what do I need to do daily that will cause this effect? Because you will reap what you will sow, right? And so what do I need to sow daily to reap the benefit of my dream? Because if we don't do this, and this is a problem that I had in the beginning where I didn't have a clear plan. I had this vision, had this big dream, but I didn't have a clear plan to accomplish it. So when I look back at this year, I realized that I didn't reach a lot of my milestones that I wanted to reach in the time I wanted to reach it, simply because I didn't have a clear plan for it. I didn't know what I was sowing. And yes, I started sowing some better things, and I'm learning that. And it's awesome because I'm learning and building, my community is building because of it. But there's different things that I could have done way better if I would have been more intentional about finding that right plan and that right path for me. So take time to think those things. Again, practical things that you to ask God is, who should I surround myself with? Is there certain communities, different groups, different coaches, etc.? Who should I avoid? That's negativity that's going to bring you down and cause confusion. What do I need to learn to be able to do this well? Is there different things that you need to learn, courses, books, etc.? And what is the actual plan to launch? Like milestone it out for the next year. Like these are the different milestones that I know I need to hit to be able to reach this dream. And the more clear you are, and the more you have plans for it, and if you know what you need to sow on a daily basis to get there, you're going to get there more likely. Again, sometimes stuff comes up, but we don't, just because things don't go the way we want it to, we don't want to give up on our dream. So make a list of these, each of these, and go start finding the people to start moving with and building with. And conclusion in all of this, it's very important to get our God dream. If we don't have our God dream, we're going to stay in that place of chaos, because confusion will continually keep you in that state of chaos, and it will keep you stuck. So again, let's recap all of these. Number one is you need to quiet all the voices that are keeping you in confusion. Put yourself in a state where you close your eyes, take a deep breath, you feel the Holy Spirit within you, and you quiet all the voices and all the dreams that you thought you needed to do that were not from him. Number two is write out all of your dreams, past, present, down in the flow of the Spirit. So in that flow, in that place of clarity, in that place of peace, just write down everything that you've ever dreamed of and anything new that he brings up. Just in the state of flow. You're not judging it. You're just writing it down. Doesn't mean anything. Like, don't put too much meaning on stuff. Just write it down. Like, oh, this feels good. Oh, that feels good. Oh yeah, I remember this word from this. Oh, I remember this dream I used to have. Write everything down. Then number three is tap into compassion to identify what's that now dream that God has for you. So you can be like, oh, this is the thing I'm supposed to focus on over the next year, over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, whatever the thing is, and figure out what is that thing. Then number four is actually put together a practical plan to move forward by asking God those questions that I mentioned earlier. And one of the most important aspect of all of this, by the way, to help you accomplish that dream and to step into the thing that you're called to, is to surround yourself with the right people. And these are the people that are going to be there for you to help you succeed, and that you can be there for them to help them succeed. It's the community. People will go further in a community than by themselves. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am with them in their midst, as the Bible talks about the Spirit of God. So if you want God to be in the midst, you got to surround yourself with people. And this is a kind of community where you combine all these different principles and you have a clear plan. They help you come up with that plan. They help you stay accountable to that plan. And you're going to be able to build it quicker, your dream quicker, and it's going to be more potent, and it's going to be better than anything you could do by yourself if you do it with a group of people. By the way, this is my dream. When I wrote it down in the beginning of the year, and I know this is the end of the year, there's a lot of mistakes I made, and that's all right. But I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm staying with the dream, and I'm being reminded of a dream even as I'm speaking of this. But that dream is to build what I call, back in the beginning, I didn't have this name, but this is the name that came to me, as Spirit-Led Creator Collaboration. Now, the collaboration, it might change to mastermind or something else, but basically what it is a community of people that want to follow the voice of the Spirit while they're being creators online. And being a creator is sharing educational type content, like this video, for instance, where we share advice and we cause transformational experiences to happen for people. And that's my dream, is I want to build this community. And I want to build a community that works together to do these things, where we focus on the right pillars, we focus on the right things, and we help each other grow to 6-7 figures online by transforming lives. Now, if this is something you're interested in, I like right now as I'm making this video, maybe by the time you get here, it will already be created by the time you watch this. But here's the reality. I created a priority list for you to join. So that priority list is, you simply go to strategicgoodness.com/priority. And when you do that, you're going to go to a place where you can sign up for this if you're interested in something like this in a community like this. I'm gauging interest simply to see, hey, what can we build together? And are you interested in something like this? Because I believe if we can create this community, we're going to be able to move forward in our dreams more effectively, and it's going to be better. Again, the link will be in the description, so just find the link in the description and let's start your dream. Let's go do something. Let's build this thing together. Let's get clear on what it is. Let's build it together. But all in all, go follow the things I said in this video at the core, at the minimum. Go do it and find yourself dreaming again and see what God brings up, because I'm excited about your future. I'm excited about what you're building, because you carry something important and it needs to get out into the world. So all in all, if you like this video, again, like, subscribe, share it with other people, because I am here to build something awesome and I want to do it with a group of people. And if you're in, you're in. If not, that's totally cool. But let's do something. Cool?